Some movie cars are designed to look cool, but the 1977 Pontiac Firebird Trans Am from Smokey and the Bandit did something far bigger. It rewired American pop culture. The moment that black and gold silhouette appeared on screen, it stopped being just a car and instantly became a symbol of rebellion, swagger, and outlaw charisma that no manufacturer at the time could match. And the strangest part, almost everything about the Bandit Trans Am was an illusion. The car wasn't actually a 1977 model. The engine wasn't what audiences thought it was. Many of the stunts were improvised because the cars kept breaking. And the surviving movie vehicle, its fate is wilder than anything in the script. When the film released, Detroit was struggling. Muscle cars were choking under emissions laws. Horsepower was dying. Yet this Trans Am, loud, cocky, and unapologetically American, hit the screen like a final rebellious shout from a fading era. Viewers didn't admire the car. They wanted it. Because Burt Reynolds didn't just drive the Trans Am, he turned it into a cultural weapon. Pontiac expected modest sales. Instead, they were hit with a frenzy. One movie, one car, a nationwide obsession. And behind all that myth, a chaotic production rush builds mechanical tricks and bizarre accidents that shape the legend. Now let's open the hood on 20 weird facts you never knew about the Bandit Trans Am. Before the Trans Am became a pop culture meteor streaking across American cinema, its journey began with a handful of unexpected decisions, rushed deadlines, and a production team that had no idea they were crafting a legend. These first 5 facts set the foundation, the origins of a car that would soon outrun everything, including its own myth. Let's start with the moment everything changed. 20. The car that sold the nation. When Smokey and the Bandit hit theaters in 1977, Pontiac was struggling to keep the Trans Am alive. Emissions regulations were destroying horsepower, insurance rates were killing sales, and Detroit wasn't sure muscle cars had a future. But the movie flipped the script overnight. Viewers didn't just admire the Trans Am, they swarmed dealerships. Pontiac predicted modest numbers for that year. Instead, they sold 68,000 units, nearly 7 times expectations. No ad campaign, no commercial, no marketing push. One film, one car, one explosion of demand. And here's where the story gets more personal. 19. Burt Reynolds' secret deal. Burt Reynolds was the biggest star in America when the film was made, and his influence helped define the Trans Am swagger. But what most viewers never knew is that Reynolds had a quiet, informal understanding. With Pontiac, they loaned him cars, he drove them publicly, and the brand benefited from the exposure, all without a formal endorsement contract. It wasn't planned as marketing, but it turned into the most effective celebrity automaker relationship of the decade. Reynolds' cool factor rubbed off on the car so strongly that some buyers literally said, "I bought the Bandit's car." Pontiac didn't even pay him. To understand the Bandit Trans Am, you need to know how chaotic the start really was. 18. Built in a hurry. Built by hand. Production began under tight deadlines, and the cars Pontiac provided weren't fully updated to the 1977 spec yet. The front-end design, the quad headlights and iconic nose, wasn't available on real cars when filming started. So the production crew did something unthinkable. They hand-built early versions of the 77 look using fiberglass and custom fabrication. Underneath these weren't true 77s at all. They were 1976 models dressed up to look like the next generation. It was a Hollywood illusion built from necessity, but it worked so perfectly that audiences never noticed. And this illusion only deepens. 17. Not actually a 1977 model. When people think of the Bandit Trans Am, they imagine a pure 1977 car. But not a single one used in filming was. Every vehicle on set began its life as a 1976 Trans Am modified with faux 77 body parts. Pontiac simply didn't have updated cars ready in time for shooting. Even the now famous front fascia was molded and attached manually. The irony: the movie became the greatest advertisement imaginable for a car that didn't technically exist yet. Viewers walked into dealerships asking for the exact car Burt Reynolds drove. Without realizing, the real-world version arrived after the movie wrapped. And now we get to a truth that surprises even die-hard fans. 16. The engine fake-out trick. On screen, the Trans Am feels like an unstoppable muscle monster, roaring, growling, burning rubber like it owned every highway. But the cars used for filming were far from the fire breathers audiences imagined. Most were equipped with low-output 180-200 horsepower engines, far weaker than the cinematic image. To make the car seem faster, the sound effects team added aggressive V8 audio in post-production. Stunt drivers pushed each car hard, but the real punch came from editing tricks and audio layering. The Bandit Trans Am looked furious, but its power was mostly movie magic. Even stranger, one of the cars had such weak performance that stunt drivers joked they had to coax it into frame. The Bandit didn't outrun the sheriff because of horsepower. It outran him thanks to clever filmmaking. These 5 origin facts reveal something essential about the Bandit legend. The car wasn't born iconic, it became iconic through illusion improvisation and the perfect collision of timing attitude and cinematic magic. What started as a rushed production lineup would soon face even more pressure, bigger stunts, and increasingly strange decisions that pushed the cars to their limits and beyond. And as you'll see in the next section, the deeper we go, the weirder the story gets, including floors falling out, cars disappearing, and stunts that nearly wrecked the entire shoot. As filming intensified, the production crew realized the Trans Ams weren't just starring in the movie, they were being pushed far beyond what the cars were ever designed to handle. Each day brought a new problem, a new modification, or a new disaster. These next 5 facts reveal the behind-the-scenes chaos that shaped the Bandit's on-screen legend. Let's kick this off with something shocking. 15. 3 cars. 1 survived. Although fans often talk about the Bandit Trans Am, the production used 3 cars for the movie. And by the end of filming, only 1 was still intact. The Trans Ams were put under brutal stunt conditions, high-speed chases, jumps, dirt road slides, and frame-twisting maneuvers that destroyed suspension components. 1 car was wrecked beyond repair, another was stripped for parts as the shoot dragged on, and the third barely made it through the final shots. Pontiac did not expect the cars to be abused this heavily, and the film crew had no backup fleet. Every broken piece had to be scavenged from the remaining cars. They weren't managing a movie vehicle lineup, they were performing triage. And here's a detail almost nobody notices. 14. A paint color that didn't exist. The black and gold Bandit look became so iconic that people assume it was a standard Pontiac production option. It wasn't. The paint scheme in the movie, the deep black body with gold pinstriping and the massive hood bird, was custom built for the film. Pontiac didn't officially offer that exact combination in 1976 or 1977. Even the gold accents were mixed and applied manually. After the movie became a phenomenon, Pontiac scrambled to create something similar, introducing special editions inspired by the film. But the original Bandit paint job, that was a Hollywood one-off, that reshaped the real-world design direction of the entire Pontiac Trans Am lineup. Now we enter the territory of outright absurdity. 13. The stunt car with no floor. During one of the hardest stunt sequences, a Trans Am lost so much structural integrity that part of the floor literally ripped open. Dirt, rocks, and debris flew up through the car as the stunt driver kept going. The crew didn't have time to repair it properly, so they patched it with scrap metal rivets and whatever sheet material they could find on set. That car still performed multiple scenes afterward, despite having a floor that looked more like a campfire grate than factory steel. It's a miracle the vehicle held together long enough to finish its scheduled shots. And if you think the missing floor was crazy, this is even wilder. 12. The Smokey jump wasn't planned. One of the most memorable stunts, the Trans Am soaring over a broken bridge, was never supposed to happen the way it did. The crew expected a modest hop over the gap. Instead, the car hit the ramp too fast, the suspension bottomed out, and the Trans Am launched into the air with a trajectory nobody anticipated. The landing was catastrophic. The car's frame bent so badly, it became unusable for the rest of the film. But the footage was spectacular, raw, and completely authentic. So Hal Needham, the stuntman turned director, kept it in the final cut. Audiences assumed it was a meticulously planned moment. In reality, it was an accident caught on camera. Let's end this section with a detail that reveals the movie's improvisational spirit. 11. The radio prop that didn't work. The CB radio, a central part of the Bandit's outlaw charm, wasn't fully functional in most scenes. The prop antennas were often disconnected, the wiring didn't lead anywhere, and the dash-mounted units frequently failed. In several shots, actors were miming dialogue over dead equipment. The crew simply overdubbed real CB chatter in post-production. The funniest part, fans later bought CB radios hoping to replicate the movie's iconic cross-country communication style, only to discover the signals and range in real life were nothing like the perfectly clear conversations in the film. Hollywood magic made the Bandit CB system seem invincible, but on set it barely worked at all. These 5 facts paint a clearer picture of what was really happening behind the scenes. The Bandit Trans Am wasn't a polished, precision-engineered superstar. It was a battered, patched-together survivor part, stunt machine, part illusion, part mechanical Frankenstein. And yet, it performed well enough on camera to become a generational symbol. But the story gets even stranger from here. In the next group of facts, we move into the strangest secrets. The behind-the-scenes oddities, bizarre mishaps, and unbelievable details that even hardcore fans rarely hear about. By this point in production, the Bandit Trans Ams had already endured broken frames, missing floors, and improvised stunts. But the next set of facts reveals a side of the story that goes beyond damage and repairs. This is where things turn downright bizarre. These are the details that make the Bandit legend feel more like folklore than filmmaking. Let's start with a problem no one saw coming. 10. Tires worn out in hours. The Trans Ams looked wild on screen because stunt drivers pushed them to their absolute limits. Long slides, smoky burnouts, and aggressive cornering. But the downside was brutal. The production went through tires at an insane rate. Freshly mounted tires lasted less than a day of shooting. In some sequences, they wore out in mere hours. The constant heat buildup from sliding destroyed the rubber faster than the crew could replace it. At one point, the tire budget ballooned so quickly that Hal Needham joked it felt like they were burning money at the same speed as rubber. The cars weren't just performing for the camera, they were consuming parts like monsters. Now here's something that shows how powerful the Bandit image really was. 9. The most copied muscle car look ever. The black and gold Bandit Trans Am became the single most copied aesthetic in muscle car culture. Every decade sees trends come and go. But the Bandit looked the black body gold accents, the screaming chicken hood. Decal stayed relevant long after the movie premiered. Thousands of owners across America repainted their Trans Ams to mimic the film car. Some even converted different Pontiac models entirely. The result, the Bandit wasn't just a car in a movie. It became a template, a style guide, a visual identity that muscle car fans adopted as a badge of pride. It's the rarest kind of influence, one car creating an entire design movement. But before that culture took hold, the car nearly never appeared in the movie at all. 8. Smokey's Trans Am almost didn't happen. In early drafts of the film, producers considered a completely different hero car, including a pickup truck and a Chevrolet Chevelle. Hal Needham pushed back hard, insisting the movie needed a sleek, modern, outlaw-looking machine to match the Bandit's personality. Pontiac happened to be releasing a new front-end design, and Needham caught a glimpse of it during development. That single peek changed everything. He fought for the Trans Am until the studio relented. Had Needham not been so persistent, or had he missed that early design preview, the cultural phenomenon of the Bandit Trans Am might never have existed. And now, we get to one of the most reckless choices of the entire production. 7. The stunt driver who refused a helmet. Stunt legend Hal Needham, who later became the film's director, performed several of the Trans Am's most dangerous sequences himself. But Needham had a personal rule. He never wore a helmet unless absolutely required. In multiple scenes, including high-speed runs and jumps, he performed stunts bareheaded. Crew members protested, but Needham insisted it made him feel the car better and stay more connected during risky maneuvers. It was a decision that would never pass safety standards today, but in the 1970s, and especially under Needham, it was accepted. The Bandit's most iconic moments were completed by a man who treated danger like just another tool. And here's where everything flips upside down. 6. Pontiac didn't pay a dollar for marketing. One of the wildest truths behind Smokey and the Bandit is that Pontiac did not spend a single dollar to promote their cars in the film. There was no official partnership, no sponsorship contract, no product placement agreement. Pontiac simply loaned the vehicles because they liked the script and trusted Hal Needham's instincts. After the movie became a runaway hit, Pontiac's sales skyrocketed, and they hadn't paid a cent for what became the greatest automotive commercial in cinema history. The Bandit Trans Am essentially became a multi-million-dollar marketing campaign delivered for free. The deeper you go, the stranger the Bandit story becomes. These facts reveal how unusual the car's journey really was, a mix of improvisation accidents, risky decisions, and pure luck that transformed a mid-level muscle car into a once-in-a-generation icon. But we're not done yet. The next section dives into the cult impact and real-life journey 5 to 2, the legacy of the Trans Am beyond the screen, the fans who kept the myth alive, and the unbelievable twists that happened to the cars after filming. By the time filming wrapped, the Bandit Trans Am had already been bent, battered, patched, repainted, and pushed through extreme stunt work. But its real story, the one that would outlive the movie, was only just beginning. What happened after the film hit theaters transformed the Trans Am from a Hollywood car into a living cultural relic. These 4 facts explore that legacy, the fan culture, the myths, the strange real-world events, and the emotional stories behind America's most beloved outlaw machine. And this is where fiction spills directly into the real world. 5. The Bandit Run inspired real-life events. After Smokey and the Bandit exploded in popularity, fans weren't content just to watch the Trans Am tear across the screen. They wanted to live the experience. That desire sparked a nationwide tradition known as the Bandit Run, an annual road event where hundreds of Trans Am owners drive cross-country in tribute to the movie's high-speed bootlegging route. Organized for the first time in 2007 to celebrate the film's 30th anniversary, the event retraced the Bandit's journey from Texarkana to Atlanta. It became so popular that it turned into a yearly pilgrimage drawing fans from around the world. It's more than a car meet, it's a living reenactment of the film's spirit, rebellion, camaraderie, and pure American road culture. The Trans Am didn't just inspire fans, it built an entire community that still rolls across highways today. Now we move to one of the most recognizable icons ever printed on metal. 4. The Hood Bird, that became a cultural symbol. The massive screaming chicken decal on the Bandit's hood became so famous that it transcended car culture entirely. Before the movie, even Pontiac wasn't sure if the oversized Hood Bird would appeal to mainstream buyers. But on screen, under the glow of 1970s cinematography, it became legendary, a bold, almost arrogant declaration of identity. Sales of Trans Ams with the decals skyrocketed. Even non-Pontiac owners began adding custom eagle graphics to their hoods. The Hood Bird became a meme before memes existed, a symbol of swagger, unapologetic style, and cinematic cool. Decades later, the design remains one of the most recognizable automotive graphics ever created. It went from controversial option to American icon in a single summer. Here's where the impact becomes undeniable. 3. The car that revived Pontiac sales. Before Smokey and the Bandit, Pontiac was drifting. The muscle car market was shrinking, emissions regulations were tightening, and the Trans Am seemed destined to fade. Then the movie arrived, and everything changed. Pontiac expected to sell around 10,000 Trans Ams in 1977. Instead, they sold nearly 7 times that number, plus massive increases in Firebird sales overall. Dealerships couldn't keep the cars in stock. Some customers placed deposits months in advance. Others bought used Trans Ams at inflated prices just to own the Bandit's car. Pontiac didn't engineer a marketing strategy. They didn't buy advertising. They didn't run a campaign. The movie did all the work, turning the Trans Am into one of the most desirable American cars of the decade. In the history of automotive cinema, no car has ever boosted sales this dramatically. This wasn't brand revival, it was resurrection. And now, we arrive at one of the most emotional and unexpected chapters of the Bandit legacy. 2. Burt Reynolds' personal Trans Am disaster. Because of the film's massive success, Burt Reynolds was gifted several Trans Ams over the years, cars meant to honor him, celebrate the movie, and cement his connection to the Bandit persona. But Reynolds' relationship with these cars took a painful turn. During difficult periods in his life, financial struggles, health issues, and declining roles, Burt was forced to sell many of his prized vehicles, including his Bandit-style Trans Ams. One of the most heartbreaking moments came when fans discovered that Reynolds had auctioned off a replica Bandit Trans Am he treasured deeply, simply because he needed the money to stay afloat. The car was later restored and preserved by collectors who understood its emotional weight. While the Bandit Trans Am made Burt Reynolds a pop culture legend, it also became a symbol of the highs and lows of fame, a reminder that even icons can lose the things they love. These 4 facts reveal the soul of the Bandit legacy, a car that didn't just survive filmmaking chaos, but went on to shape lives, communities, traditions, and even the personal story of the man who made it famous. The Trans Am left the studio lot and became part of America's cultural heartbeat. But the wildest part of the story, the ultimate twist, is still ahead, because only one movie car's fate tops them all. By now we've explored the improvisation, the chaos, the cultural impact, and the strange afterlives of the Bandit Trans Ams. But nothing, absolutely nothing, compares to what happened to the last surviving screen-used car. This isn't just another production mishap or fan legend. It is the most unbelievable, dramatic, and emotionally loaded chapter in the entire story. This is the fact that stands above them all, the moment where the Bandit myth turns into something shockingly real. 1. The last surviving movie car's crazy fate. When filming wrapped on Smokey and the Bandit, only one Trans Am remained in usable condition. It wasn't pristine, it wasn't glamorous. It was a patched-up veteran of stunt abuse with worn suspension, fatigued metal, and scars from the production. But to the cast and crew, it was the closest thing to a hero car they had left. For years, this surviving Trans Am drifted through private ownership like a wandering relic. It sat behind shops and storage units and in garages belonging to people who often had no idea they were holding a piece of American film history. Some treated it like a used car. Others recognized its importance but didn't have the resources to restore it properly. Slowly, the car became less a collectible and more an orphan of Hollywood, a legend hiding in plain sight. Then came the twist. Decades later, a collector researching Trans Am history noticed inconsistencies between known replicas and a particular black and gold car that had resurfaced in rough condition. The stance was slightly different. The interior wear patterns were strange. The undercarriage bore markings that only a stunt team would make. After exhaustive verification, comparing production photos, stunt records, VIN details, and frame modifications, experts confirmed the impossible. This beat-up, half-forgotten Trans Am was the last surviving car used in the original 1977 film. The revelation detonated across the automotive community. What followed was a storm of restoration work, media attention, fan pilgrimage, and an emotional reckoning with how fragile automotive heritage can be. The car was carefully brought back from the brink, not over-restored, not modernized, but preserved with its battle scars intact. Every scratch, every weld, every imperfect detail became part of the machine's identity. But its destiny was about to take an even stranger turn. When the car finally went up for auction, experts expected high numbers. What they got was a spectacle. Bidding wars erupted instantly. Fans, collectors, and wealthy buyers all fighting to own the ultimate Bandit relic. Prices soared past, estimates doubling, tripling, and finally reaching a number so unreal, it became part of the Bandit legend itself. The last surviving screen-used Trans Am sold for over $500. $500,000 for a beaten, tired, imperfect car, not because of performance, not because of rarity alone, but because it represented something no showroom vehicle ever could. The spirit of the Bandit. It symbolized the grit of 1970s stunt work, the personality of Burt Reynolds, the swagger of the film, and the cultural explosion the Trans Am created. It was a survivor, not just of production chaos, but of decades of obscurity. And here's the emotional heart of the story. When Burt Reynolds learned about the car's rediscovery, he expressed something rare. Not pride, but gratitude. He once said the Bandit Trans Am wasn't just a movie car. It was a companion, a character, a partner in the adventure that defined an era of his career. To him, its survival meant the legacy of Smokey, and the Bandit would continue long after the cameras stopped rolling. Today, the last surviving Trans Am rests as a museum piece, a monument to a film made with more determination than budget, more heart than horsepower, and more personality than any spec sheet could capture. It's the physical embodiment of a cultural moment that still resonates nearly 50 years later. One car, one film, one legend that refused to disappear. And in that battered, restored, impossibly resilient Trans Am lies the final and greatest truth of the Bandit story. A movie car can be built from illusions, tricks, and compromises. But a legend is forged by the people who never let its flame die. In the end, the story of the 1977 Pontiac Firebird Trans Am from Smokey and the Bandit isn't just a behind-the-scenes tale of a movie car. It's a story about how something built under pressure, patched together on the fly, and pushed far beyond its limits, can rise above its circumstances and become larger than life. Everything about the Bandit Trans Am was imperfect. It wasn't a real 1977 model. It didn't have the horsepower people imagined. Its stunts were chaotic, improvised, and often accidental. It suffered broken frames, missing floors, and destroyed tires. Its CB radio barely worked, and most of the cars didn't survive filming. Yet somehow, despite all the flaws, all the compromises, all the challenges, it became one of the most iconic cars ever captured on film. Why? Because the Bandit Trans Am embodied something deeper than engineering. It represented attitude, confidence, rebellion, the thrill of the open road, the idea that style and spirit can outshine limitations. It was a symbol of the era that refused to fade, with Burt Reynolds at the wheel and a black and gold silhouette tearing across the American South. And even after the camera stopped rolling, the legend only grew. Fans created the Bandit run. Pontiac's sales skyrocketed. The Hoodbird became an icon, and the last surviving movie car, battered, forgotten, rediscovered, became a priceless artifact of cinematic history. The Bandit's Trans Am wasn't perfect, but legends rarely are. It survived because people believed in it: stuntmen, filmmakers, fans, collectors, and generations of viewers who saw something in that car that spoke to them. Something loud, something bold, something free. And that's the strange truth behind this machine. A car built from illusion became a cultural reality. A movie prop became a national obsession, and a patched-up stunt vehicle became a timeless symbol of American cinema. That is the story of the Bandit Trans Am, the outlaw that outran the limits of its time and never stopped running.